I know you've always had an opinion on gold. What's your opinion now?
Well, I own gold and silver. I didn't buy, I stopped buying in 2010 or so, and then I started buying again last summer, summer of 2019. And I will be buying more gold and silver. Before this is over, gold and silver are going to go up a lot because throughout history, when people lose confidence in governments or money, they always buy gold and silver. I mean, whether we like it or not. Politicians and academics will tell you that it's absurd. Don't buy gold and silver. Well, Jimmy, I'm an old peasant. All of us peasants know we don't listen to politicians and academics. We know that gold and silver have always been good when things get really bad. So I'm an old peasant and I own gold and silver and I will buy more.
And do you only buy the commodity or do you invest in gold miners?
Occasionally I invest in gold miners. I don't own any right now.
And what's your view on the US dollar?
Well, I own a lot of U.S. dollars, Jimmy, because throughout history, when there's turmoil, people look for a safe haven. For historic reasons, people think the U.S. dollar is a safe haven. It's not. It's not. The U.S. is the largest debtor nation in the history of the world, but people think it's safe, and compared to the euro or sterling or other things, people will buy the dollar. It's having a correction right now, which is normal. I think, I hope. So I suspect that when the crisis gets bad again in a year or two, the U.S. dollar will be very strong. It will probably get overpriced, might turn into a bubble. I hope I'm smart enough to sell if it does.
And I have to ask you about Bitcoin. I'm sure you don't trade it, but I'm sure you have a view on it.
Well, yes, I do have a view. Obviously, it's been a great trading vehicle for some people in the last few years, not many years, few years. Um, I don't own any cryptocurrency. Several of them have already disappeared, as you know. Dozens of them have already come and gone. In my view, that was what will happen too. Well, first of all, Jimmy, we must establish that money is going to be on the computer. It's already in China. You cannot take a taxi in China with cash. You have to have your money on your computer. You give them your phone if you want to take a taxi or buy an ice cream or anything else. So it's already happening. Some countries are ahead of North America, such as China. So that's happening, and governments love it. Nearly all governments are now working on computer money, as I'm sure you know, including the US. We're all working on it. Governments love it. You don't have to print. It's cheap. You don't have to print it. You don't have to transport it. You don't have to secure it. You don't have to account for it. And they can know everything about you. They will call you one day, Jimmy, and say, Jimmy, you've had too much coffee this month. Cut back on you. And they'll know everything you do. And they love that. Well, I hate it, of course, but they love it. And so computer money is coming. If other currencies become successful, the governments will outlaw them. They always have. Governments don't like competition when it comes to money. 100 years ago, 80 years ago, you could use anything you wanted as money. Banks could print their own money legally, and they did. But then the Bank of England in the 30s said, starting next week, if you use anything for money except our money, pound sterling, it's an act of treason. Well, treason means they execute you. So people stop using competing money, competing currencies, and that will happen again. Now, Jimmy, the crypto guys say, listen, we're smarter than the government. And they certainly are. I mean, everybody's smarter than the government. But the government has the guns, and as in the 30s, if they make it an act of treason, most people will stop using competing currencies, and that will happen again. Do I like it? No. Will it happen? Yes.
Does this time period remind you of another time period in the financial markets?
Uh, well, as I said before, I've seen bubbles before. And so, yes, I can see bubbles developing, not just in the US, but in other places as well, and in certain industries. Again, they always look the same. Everybody cannot get enough of whatever the group is, whatever the stocks are. So yes, that has happened before. Uh, there has never been a time that I know of in world history where there's been so much leverage in the system. In 2008, we had a problem because of too much debt. But Jimmy, since then, the debt has skyrocketed everywhere. Everywhere, debt has skyrocketed. So I have never read about a period in world history when there was such staggering amounts of debt at every level. So yes, history repeats itself, or at least it rhymes. But I don't remember ever seeing such huge amounts of debt worldwide. Uh, Bubbles I've seen, this amount of debt has never existed before.
Jim, this has been a real pleasure, and I want to thank you for taking the time today. And I hope the next time we meet in person.
Well, thank you, Jimmy. It's been fun. Let's do it again sometime.